Hello, it's Amy with Paper Moon Journals. The last Dollhouse journal I made was so popular, I did go ahead and make a kit, including a little bottle, unused, of Stickles glitter. I threw in some extra paper flowers, some tabs, some sentiments, the tags I would use, the envelope I would use, some little lace bows and ribbon bows, just a little handful of those that I had ready that I glue on their little dresses and things when I make them. And then some bundles of lace. Here's another one of the flowers, an envelope. So what I did was I made a kit. Here's the project I'm working on. So here's the stuff I already have ready, the lace I was going to use. Some of it I glue onto backing sheets. So I would glue this card onto this card. So I included a little bit of stuff printed on card for backing sheets in the kit. So here's kind of my work in progress. Here's all the fussy cuts. I thought about adding an option for $15 more. I could fussy cut out these images, just these ones, not everything. If you were interested in that, I'm not sure about that. If I was going to do that or not, but here I finished the cover. I added a charm to the cover and everything, added the recycled sari silk ribbon. I finished the inside just the way I would do mine. I actually have it sitting over there. This one's a little further along. I've inked all the page edges on this. I haven't done that on mine. And then I made sure when I printed stuff, each time I went and got stuff from the printer, that I had 2 of everything. And it was a lot of work. It took all day to get both of the covers assembled. Let me show you the other one. Here we go. And I already have somebody that's claimed this one, so I haven't put the ribbon on it yet. I thought I was going to use blue ribbon on mine. A piece of lace that looks like this is in here. And like the one where the video was so popular had some different ruffled ribbon. I included, it should be enough to do 2 pages, I think. Or you could have some left over, like I only used the pink once, but there's enough to do 2 in here. So I gave you some of the ruffled lace and that lace pocket piece for the front, and then some of my favorite lace for, and here's an envelope for the little paper doll dresses, like I did in the video. And then just some extra paper flowers for other projects, or you might, I felt like this was too big for the cover here, but if you wanted to like really go to town with flowers on the cover, you could. Here's the lace, the kind I used to make the little ribbons. If you tear it in half, it's double-sided lace. I usually tear it in half and use that to tie bows. It's on a little positive sentiment card. Let's see, it looks like there's 4 little bows that I had left over that I didn't use when I made the last one. And then I have 6. Oh, we'll get this stuff out. And so you can glitter it up like I would. You get your bottle of Stickles glitter. And crystal looks good on everything. Then 6 of the little tabs. I'll just go ahead and put those in the envelope so that they don't get lost. And then some positive sentiments. You can use them in pockets or as journaling inspiration on the pages, however you want. There's those. I guess we'll put the little bows in here too. All the little things. And then the tags. I would make collage tags using my tag top punch. So I included those. I know I thought I had a little envelope with some of the tiny ephemera tucked into it. So there's that. This page of paper dolls I printed onto card. So you could actually, there's some card backing here. You could back it onto card and have them as more sturdy little paper dolls to use in pockets. They also are nice on tags. And then there's these ones for fussy cutting. And decorating the tea stain pages is often how I use it, but just put them wherever you like. And this is printed on card now, the little house. And so I would probably cut this into 2 pieces and use them as tuck spots, maybe back it and use the inside house inside. It would make a cute pocket, wouldn't it? This I didn't use in the original one, but I found it when I was printing stuff out. So I've included that. And the paper dolls, just like were in the original project with the dresses. And then these were pockets. I made these into pockets the first time. The little dresses. This is the one that tucks into the pocket on the cover. And I included a piece of chipboard behind it. I have her glued onto this chipboard myself to make her very sturdy. So I included the chipboard in there so that you have that. And then this is printed onto card. I liked using these as paper dolls. You can either just cut them out on card, you could back them onto tea stain paper. Like I said, I just included a couple of the card backing sheets. Here's some tags. I don't think I used these in the original, but I ended up printing them out for this one. I often have way more stuff that I can use and end up with stuff left over. But I did just as I would for the project I'm making. I just printed two. These I know made it into the original. They're really pretty. As did this. And when I say the original, the one from the video I shared previously with a completed project. I know at least a couple of these tags, if not all of them, I think made it in there. Here's that piece of lace. I wanted it flat, so I kind of tried to flatten it between the pages here. And then more ephemera. This I use as pockets, a belly band. I think, use that as like a tuck spot with the pocket glued on top and this inside the pocket. These can make little pockets. This is a pocket. The tall tags are really nice. They stick up, you know, higher out of the pocket. So a lot of this is almost all pixie dust files from her different doll kits that I printed. I'm still on cardstock here. I like to use my circle punch to punch those out. I like to use these as pockets at the bottom. These are pockets. I often just back these onto like product packaging or something like that, cereal box. That's another way, if you want to back something, instead of using backing cardstock, you can always back it on product packaging, and then that's the junk in your journal. This is also on card, again, so these ones are all more like paper dolls, and these ones are more like page decoration. It's an envelope. And then here is a backing on card. There's, let's see, how many? 1, 2. So I've got these backing sheets printed out. It always pulls them in crooked, so I just trim off the white border, flip it over, glue the stuff down, the ephemera down that's going to get the backing, and then cut it out. So there's 4 of the backing sheets. And in the original, I glued this, the little house, down to packaging and made it a pocket. Did the same thing with the balloon. I also cut out the little dresses a second time and layered them over the original dresses, so I included a second one of that. And then this is what I used inside the front cover. You could also, I don't know what you might want to use it for. I threw it in there. This is ephemera I was cutting out. And then just a piece of tea stain paper that I didn't end up using, so I threw that in there. Or dyed paper. I don't think it's tea stained. I think it's just dyed. And so, yep, this is it. This is the kit. So if you want to make it yourself, then you've got like kind of all the stuff that I use definitely to make it. Not everything, you know, that I use, but pretty near everything. And I never charge for my time. You know, this is the hard part here, getting all the files found and printed out, getting the cover assembled and made, getting all the corners rounded, and the page edges inked. You'd be surprised how long that takes. I made like a little washi tape banner there with gold washi tape, like this, on some wax linen thread for my project. That was pretty cute. Don't want to lose that. I'll need that again. Here's that house that I layered up into a pocket. in the original project. And then I think I did the two, like, two of the pockets like there with tall tags in them. You know, I added a little bow there. And then I tend to add the paper dolls and stuff to the tea stain pages. Adding stuff halfway up the page or in the middle of the page can be fun. Here's the little dresses that if you cut them out twice, you can layer them up, fold them at the waistline, and then they're kind of little flip up writing spots. With all the stuff, the tabs, I didn't include charms for every tab. You might not have the crocodile and the eyelet setting tool and stuff like that. So I just put a really fancy one on the front. But this is it. This is the kit to make one like the ones that I make. So in case you want to make it yourself, you have ephemera and stuff of your own that you want to add. You could do that to a bought one, but maybe you really wanted to make it and you don't have a color printer, you don't have access to the kits. I have a huge variety of the kits because I've been buying them for years. So there's, I think I printed out Amity Bloom as the envelope. My Porch Prince is this envelope. The paper dolls were Amity Bloom. Everything else I think is pixie dust files. So the ephemera is printed out. The fussy cuts are printed out and just ready to be cut out, ready to go. And then some extras here that you may or may not want to use on this project. What should happen is you should end up with a stack of leftover ephemera that just gets too big once you decorate it, and then you have that left over for the next project. And then that makes your next project more interesting because you're using stuff you had left over. So I hope I was on screen the whole time there. But this is it. This is the kit. I'm going to list it for sale in the Etsy shop. Until or unless I get a custom order for a journal like this, then I'll just take the kit and make it. I won't have to print everything out. So yep, here's the kit. In case you're interested, I'll try to get that listed in my Etsy shop before I get the video up. And then it'll only be slightly cheaper than having me make it for you, I have to say, because I just don't charge for my time at all. I just charge pretty much for the materials and things that I use. The Dresden trim to replace the paper flowers, the bottle of glitter that I would use, adding glitter to it. Maybe only half bottle on something this size. So you should have some leftover glitter. Yep, I was pretty excited about the idea, and I was hoping somebody else would be too. You know, I have a friend, she has arthritis, and she hasn't been able to sew signatures into her journals, things like that. Maybe you haven't learned the skill or you've felt intimidated by sewing in signatures. It's as easy as tying your shoes. If you can tie your shoes, you could probably sew in signatures, unless you're differently abled. You know, that could definitely affect your ability to sew in signatures. But this is it. And then this is the one I'm working on. I've already had somebody claim it. She told me she wanted one, and I said, okay, I'm working on it. But what happens is I just go ahead and list it. And if they don't buy it, you know, I give it to them first. I give them the first option. And then if I don't hear back, then the listing goes live, and whoever gets it, gets it. Sometimes I offer to hold things for people, and my family is helping me with orders. If I'm not well that day, then family wouldn't know that I had agreed to hold it, and they not feeling well, they wouldn't come in and bother me. So if I have agreed to hold something for you and it does end up going to somebody else, my apologies. We do the best we can over here. I try to stay on top of it, but you know, we all have bad days here and there, so not every day can be a good day. Such is life. So I hope you are all having a good day. Blessings to all of you. Thank you to everybody who's been buying from my shop. I almost want to cry. I'm so choked up. There's nothing that makes me feel more honored and privileged to make these things for people and to buy all the stuff. I couldn't afford to buy this stuff that makes them so pretty. All the little ribbons and laces to keep all of this stuff in stock is kind of what I do. Every time I sell one, I buy another case of cardstock. I'll buy more ink for the printer. Then I sell another one. I just stocked up on paper flowers. It cost me $80 to stock up on just like 3 kinds of paper flowers, something like that. the Dresden trim. I think I spent about $100 on Dresden trim. One of the times I sold a journal, so, you know, the silk. So each time I sell something, I'm restocking the supplies that I use to make them. So the laser printer, thank goodness, is hanging in there. I print this all on laser paper using toner. It is more expensive than the inkjet. The cardstock I use the inkjet for, so that is water soluble. If you tried to dye anything that has been printed on the cardstock, it will run. You know, if you spilt water on it, it would run. So you'll want to be careful with that. That's true of like any journal you get from anybody. I think everybody prints on inkjet. I'm one of the few that print on laser. The laser jet doesn't like the cardstock. So the cardstock goes through the inkjet, and then it helps save me a little bit on the toner. But all the pages and everything in here, the cover is printed on the laser printer. The fussy-cuts, you know, anything printed on paper is done on the laser printer. So here it is. I think I've gone on long enough. I hope you'll check it out. Now I've got to do the job of getting it listed. And then if you made it all the way to the end, here's a sneak peek of the mermaid journal that I also need to get photographed, filmed, and everything, and ready to go. So, yep. Thanks again. God bless you all, and please have a wonderful day.